On your marks, get set, bake.
I love that. Really like.
That is delicious.
Bakers, your time is up.
I'm keeping the longer run when we do it live because it gives me just enough time to get a sip of tea and put my cup down, move everything I got to move before I introduce us. Hey, it's Patisserie. It's a Great British Bake Off podcast. A Great British Bake Off podcast. Hosted by me, Dennis Harris 713, and hosted by her. That's Nick Jew.
Basketball's back.
I know it's like a bunch of games. Like anyway, but no Paul George and Joel Embiid tonight. It's like, well, what are we even doing here, right?
Right. Well, they have to show the champs or whatever.
I guess. Well, no, they're not even playing. They're out for the opener.
Oh yeah, no, I'm just saying like the spotlight game is the
care about the damn
Celtics.
I would never care about the Celtics. Can't even venture to.
Same, super same.
Only thing I've seen good in the Garden is I saw Run the Jewels perform with. Who did they perform with? Lord, it was Mitski. Run the Jewels was the middle. It was the mid set, and Lord was the big get of that show.
That's an interesting lineup.
It was a crazy, like, because Mitski and Lord, perfect sense. Run the Jewels in the middle of that, odd if anything. But that was a dope show. We just happened to be in Boston for PAX, and I was like, yo, Run the Jewels gonna be there like a day before we get there. You want to go a day early? And of course, my lady's like, of course, because she's nothing a sweetheart. But that's not what we talk about on this show. On this show, we discuss the Great British Bake Off. And Dago, we're going to talk about it's Series 15, Episode 4. It's Caramel Week, or Caramel Week, as they said over and over again. 57 minutes deep. The little caramel poem intro.
I giggled just because I really enjoy Allison and
they're fun together. Yeah, they're fun together. Before we delve any further into anything else, though, just a quick little give me your bread week.
Sure. Yeah.
Over.
So overall, I thought it was a great episode. I'm gonna say probably the thing that you thought I was gonna say, that I thought it should have been Nellie's week.
You are not the only person who said that. The internet was kind of on that, and I was like, I can see it. I can see why, but I'm also like, I can see why not. So
I'm not mad, but her Showstopper was the best looking Showstopper, in my opinion.
Plus, she's just a homie, and we always gonna root for Nelly. So
she's just like one of my favorite people to ever be on this show.
Truly, it's like, don't let me get her on the show to talk to her at some point, because I'm gonna figure it out. It's gonna be over.
That would be crazy. That would be crazy.
But anything stick out where you show stopped?
Yeah, I mean, I had the same comments about the pizza and the pretzels. Like, Paul Hollywood, that's what a pretzel look like, friend. We not making crackers. What you mean? It's not look like a pretzel.
Like, bro, that's a pretzel. I mean,
right?
It's tacos all over again. I was real like, come on, bro, you wild.
And then you have like a New York style themed pizza thing with a Detroit pizza in it. I was like, oh, okay. It should have just been an ode to American pizza.
Like, sir, you done took the multiple cities that are very far
Detroit. Sorry, Detroit pizza. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, no, but I allow from that was I don't know, man. Dylan really came through. he showstopped quick,
like,
and I was like,
bone marrow. It was just like a side. It felt random. A bone on the side. I was like, okay.
The whole thing was like, watch it. You just whipped up a cottage loaf with some bone marrow. I was like, here, have some.
Right.
But and they did, and they was like, yo, that's fire. So I guess what am I to say?
Yeah.
I don't think I'm ever gonna go for a bone marrow anything, so I'm good. So I'm glad it was to be enjoyed by the judges.
Yeah.
But yeah, you'd like to say you were definitely missed. I think you would have had a good time, and well, so we definitely have Brad and Mackenzie back in the building.
Brad did a great job doing his Nicole. I was proud.
Thank you, Brad, for that. As I know you listen so good.
I'm sorry, his Nick. I forgot that weirded you out a little bit.
I mean, I grasped it. It's just I haven't called you Nick the whole time I've known you. I'm sorry. To crown you Nicole out of nowhere seems just strange. I don't know. I'll try to grow as a person and call you by your title.
No, I don't. It doesn't bother me. It's like I've been on the internet for the last 15 years at this point, so I'm very okay with being called Nick.
Very good. Very good. Well, people, in the tent remains. Not remains. I don't want to say it like that. That sounds sad. But these are the bakers that are still kicking it with us, and that's Andy, Christian, Dylan, Georgie, Jill, Iliane, who I always just stumble with that, Mike, Nelly, and Sumaya. But before we, delve into this week's episode, we got to hit this little news segment, which is called Bakers Make the World Go Round. And before we do it, I'll push this button, and then this happens. Bakers make the world go round. And it's a delight. Nick disappeared. Nick joined. What happened? it just flicked out.
No, I was behind. I had a little delay, so I was like, well, let me refresh while the video is on.
It is the move. It seems to always be. But this week's Bakers Make the World Go Round that I keep clicking off of is from Eater. Which is, if you didn't know it, it's a LA news outfit that I don't know, talks about all kinds of cool things. In this case, it is Gabriella, forgive me, Lewis on the byline. The article is, the internet has developed a collective crush on this Great British Bake Off contestant. I can hear myself echoing.
Can you?
I can.
Maybe I can turn my volume down because I don't hear an echo.
Make sure it's coming through your headphones and not your speakies.
How about now? You still hear it?
Let's talk about myself. Can you hear me? Nope. There it is.
Okay.
All right. Can you hear me with it being tapped down?
Yeah, no. I just was a little hot on the speaker.
Fair enough. On the newest season of the Great British Baking Show, I hate that. One clumsy yet capable contestant has many viewers falling for him. Wow. This man is a child. It's kind of gross that y'all are falling for him, but sure thing.
How old is Dylan?
20. He is a baby.
To you.
What I was just about to say, one thing I always appreciate on What's the Tea, y'all be like, this is not lust based because that man's a child. So I need y'all to get on that level, okay? This is a baby. Stop that.
That's a grown man, technically.
In some circles, I guess.
Right. Not for me.
He can drink in Europe. He couldn't drink in America, okay?
Right.
That should stop you right there. Like he could
vote.
Sure.
No, I don't like. The thing is, for me, he's a tiny baby. He might as well be in middle school, but he is technically an adult.
We'll allow for it. Paul Hollywood's icy blue eyes aren't the only thing piercing viewers' heart in the newest season of the Great British Bake Off. Unless you've been living under a rock, or maybe even then, you've likely heard about the cast of collection. The cast of collection. That is how that's written, y'all.
Cast of Collection 12?
About the cast of Collection 12?
They call it Collection on Netflix.
Oh, good God. Oh, look, y'all. See, this is the problem. Y'all, they do it the Netflix way, and I'm like, well, I guess truly the entire world watches on Netflix, except for in England, where they watch it on Channel 4. So that's me. Sorry. The cast of Collection 12 for a handful of reasons. The first being that the season's contestants are remarkably talented. The second being there's an unusually stunning contestant named Dylan that has rapidly become the internet's latest crush. Since 2010, the BBC television series, season, I don't BBC, see, so already you just give me wrong shit. Either I'm gonna write you in. BBC television series, which currently airs weekly on Netflix, has featured 12 self-taught bakers as they compete in various themed challenges. I think the themed challenges, I just lost that quick. To crown a winner. In that time, the show has provided us with fan favorites who have gone on to publish. Hold on. Here we go. I just noticed the chat. I was like, oh no. And I have to make sure I watch the chat because people chat.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Self-taught that compete various themed challenges to crown a winner. In that time, the show has provided us with a good Lord, y'all, I'm sorry. With fan favorites who have gone on to publish cookbooks, like season 12's Jürgen Krause and season 9's Kim Joy Hewlett. I didn't know Kim Joy's last name was Hewlett. I just call her Kim Joy. It makes perfect sense that she probably has some extra name there, doesn't it? This season is refreshingly sweet, with numerous contestants submitting themselves in GBBO canon, like Slovakian legend Nelly. Again, this is the second week in a row where if I named it Slovakian legend would be the title of this episode. Andy, a dad joke personified, and a teenage sweetheart, Sumaya, who adores her pet duck, Pato. The main standout, though, is Dylan, put my whole man's last name out there, Baklet, a 20-year-old retail assistant from Buckinghamshire. Not only has he stolen the judge's attention with his striking flavor combinations, but also the hearts of the internet. Despite the show doing him incredibly dirty in episode 1 introductory clip, showing him clumsily falling off of his skateboard, and emphasizing his clumsiness again in episode 2 in a scene where he falls off his chair, he manages to not only avoid giving viewers the ick, but he also makes them fall for him all the more. And since he first graced our screens, the most online GBO fans have been racking their brains to describe what's so alluring about the bearded baker with an eyebrow slit and a heart of gold.
I mean, he's a very striking human being. He looks like a cat and a mouse together. I've never seen someone who looks like him. And I think obviously his ethnicity, he's like Japanese and like Indian, I think. Yeah. But he's just got the most earnest face I've ever seen. Like, he just looks so, I don't know. He's a beautiful human being, and he obviously works out. And I can tell that this article is skewed toward younger people by like talking about the ick and whatever. So I'm guessing that the majority of the women in their like 20s and early 30s are the ones who are absolutely swooning over here. But it was all over my Twitter. Like, the tweet was like, we have to talk about Dylan. And just like a bunch of quotes. He's just a beautiful person.
Fair. One Twitter user remarked that he looks like the would-be child of Khal Drogo and Daenerys from Game of Thrones.
Really though.
While another stated that we simply need to discuss him. So clearly that's what you're talking about. Mm-hmm. The official GBO account is also in on the bit. And they have this. Oh, you know what? Can I share this? Let me give you quick. I'll share this little image with you guys.
And that's not even like a good picture of him.
I mean, hey, you have an understanding of who he is as a person at that point, I guess. So that's the young Dylon. Outside of Dylan being ridiculously good looking, he is also extraordinarily talented baker, crafting unique flavor combinations like yuzu and mint biscuits and gochujang garlic buns, and demonstrating his skill by hand painting scenes based on the work of a Japanese artist, Hokusai. Whatever. I got it right the first time. It's been a little bit. Sorry, y'all. He's spoken about being inspired by his heritage, noting he's super proud of his fusion roots, noting his Indian mother and Japanese Belgian father, nodding to his Indian mother and Japanese Belgian father. Below are some of the Eaters staff's favorite bits of commentary from various corners of the internet, praising Dylan for being not only talented but also being hot and fashionable. Thank you, Dylan, for your service. You guys can read the article. It'll be in the show notes. You can see the various tweets about the lad. But sheesh, I didn't realize Dylan was hitting the streets. I guess I should have, but I'm old at this point, y'all. I'm sorry. I'm just That's not what I come to this for.
Yeah.
But you enjoy the handsome little man. That's okay. But that was this week's Bakers Make the World Go Round. From now, let's go ahead and get into it. Your signature this week, my friend.
Signature challenge is a batch of. See, now I feel self-conscious about how I say this word.
We say
Batch of
caramel.
caramel. I say caramel, I think.
I'm saying I say caramel. They say caramel. We do try to adhere to the British way of doing business on this particular show.
Well, I think Americans are split on the way we pronounce it too.
Oh, yeah. Well, if you look it up, it'll tell you both pronunciations are fine because they are.
Yeah.
Tell you on how.
Hi.
There's Lee going in and out.
I'm just trying to just say it how I say it, and the first thing that comes off the dome for me is caramel.
Then there it is.
Caramel. I don't know. I'm gonna say it every way. That's caramel biscuits. They can take inspiration from a caramel classic like the Stroop waffle. They have to make 12 delicious biscuits, either sandwiched or topped with caramel. They have 2.5 hours.
The service we get that music from recently added the ability to just whitelist an entire YouTube channel for the music we use. It makes everything so much easier. I'm telling you right now, because for a minute there, it would just pop up and be like, it's not a copyright strike, it's a copyright whatever. Basically,
like a warning.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And since they have that ability built in now, that no longer is an issue.
Nice.
We never have issues with copyright for the music we play. It's quite nice. This video we're going to play later, who knows what will come of it, but still. So I did not realize they said 12. And I watched this episode multiple times. I just thought they said a batch. And I was like, when we get to girls, I'll tell you why that was a concern to me. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I was like, girl, you could have slid the ugly ones out the way. But
right.
Up top is Christian, who is indeed going for a Stroop waffle. He's going for a spiced nut Stroop waffle. Spiced nut praline made with Orpha chili. And I didn't look up an Orpha chili. I don't know if I've ever heard of it. I wonder if it's going to be something like we call it something different over here. So let's check an Orpha chili out right quick. No, I
don't know that we have her. Turkish.
Yeah, Orpha Bieber is a spice prepared from landrace capsicum anum in the Urfa region of Turkey. It's often described as having a smoky, raisin-like taste. Urfa Bieber is technically a red pepper ripening to a dark maroon on the plant. Okay, well, there you go, people. We don't seem to ride with that over these parts, but hey. But it's the spicy nut praline is Urfa chili and nigella seeds, and a caramel made with Dutch stroop. It wasn't until I heard the word Dutch stroop that I thought, well, I better get the breakdown of what is a stroop waffle.
Right.
But then as it went along, so of course my mind clicks like, okay, write this down, get this, and then proves like, well, it just means this. I didn't know that. But a Stroop waffle is a thin, round cookie made from 2 layers of sweet baked dough held together by a syrup filling. First made in the city of Gouda. If you didn't know Gouda, we say Gouda is actually Gouda. In South Holland, Stroop waffles are a well-known Dutch treat, popular throughout the Netherlands and abroad. The aforementioned Dutch Stroop is simply a Dutch syrup because Stroop waffles is a Dutch compound word for, you guessed it, syrup waffle. All that to come to that maybe go, that was disappointing. Nelly is up next. She's going for good old times caramel biscuits. It's going to be a chocolate biscuit with walnuts in it, topped with salted caramel and a little spun sugar decoration on top. She was inspired by the biscuits her dad used to make for her when she was little. And I thought that was so sweet. Also,
very sweet.
What did you think when I found out, and maybe you knew already, that they get to name these bakes. And they didn't realize, at least on American Bake Show, that they were naming their bakes. So these funky names that I oftentimes enjoy are the bakers coming up with them themselves.
Yeah, I figured they were the ones who named it.
I didn't know that. And when I asked Mackenzie and Brad, they was like, "Oh no, yeah, we got to do that." And Mackenzie was like, specifically like, "I would have came with doper names had I known."
Right.
So, it's okay. Somebody's up next. She's going for a sesame hibiscus caramel biscuit, sesame sablé biscuit with a mango lime ganache in the middle, topped with a hibiscus caramel.
Is it me? I don't want fruity caramel.
The ideal, so hibiscus is just a tea, so I think it'd be more of a flowery caramel, but also hibiscus kind of like has a sourish note. I don't know. I think it could be good. It didn't work, so it doesn't matter. But sablé biscuit is a French, usually round shortbread that is thought to have originated in this region here that I can't pronounce, but I was prepared. Are you ready? Oh, let's see. Do I get the right one? This just I want you to hear sablé sauteur, and I think I just got the sablé, which is the cookie part.
Bonjour, this is Julian, the Frenchman who makes French pronunciation videos here on YouTube, and we are looking at how to pronounce with a typical French pronunciation the name of these French round shortbread cookies that originates in a small village in the Sarthe department of France that is called Sablé-sur-Sarthe, hence their name, which literally translates into sandy, because they are slightly granulous and very buttery cookies. How do you go about pronouncing them? In French, we would say sablé, sablé cookie. But it'd be fine in English to say sablé, sablé cookies. Or in French,
Sablé.
So you heard him just say sablé sur Sarthe. That section of France that he clicks with.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So that is why I pulled that pronunciation, because I was like, I don't know how to say that last word.
I wouldn't have either.
Andy's up next. A bit of a fix caramel biscuits. A fancy version of Twix is pretty much what Andy's aiming for here. Andy's making a shortbread base with a caramel center, topped with a toasted hazelnut praline, and covered in 54% cocoa milk chocolate.
That hazelnut praline did not make it to the final bake.
Really?
It was just plain bars, and they didn't say nothing about it.
Oh yeah, them shits was supposed to have a little nuts on top of it in the picture, weren't they?
Mm-hmm.
Hey. Georgie is going for her favorite chocolate bar. I was trying to figure out, is Georgie trying to make a Twix too, or is this a fancy Snickers? Because it got nougat in it, which made me think
peanut
Snickers.
Butter also.
Yeah, so
I think I was trying to remember the name. I'm gonna have to look through my photos, but I think I brought one home. I think I know exactly what she was making.
Okay. Hers has a shortbread base as well, but a peanut butter nougat center topped with chopped peanut caramel and a chopped peanut caramel, and then you cover the whole thing in chocolate. Lovely. Dylan is going for oats with pineapple caramel biscuits. It's a pineapple caramel sitting in an oat biscuit. You know what I'm saying? A little bowl of, like, if you had to see it, people. Then he topped the whole thing with this little twill circle and a little lime cream. I personally fuck with it. I know Paul was, kind of whatever about it, but I was like, I don't know, buddy. It looked kind of fire to me. Ilyane almond Florentine caramel biscuits, a spiced shortbread base topped with a Florentine with sultanas. Now, I heard her say at some point the word raisin, but I know they bandy about the word sultana as well. And I'm like, do they just use them both, or do they actually do over there the sultana and raisin cover two different grounds? And I'll have to research that further for you, y'all. It's a candied orange and almond filling covered in chocolate. A Florentine biscuit, because I thought I'd let you know what that is, or simply a Florentine, known in Italian as biscotto fiorentino. I did it with unintentional. I just don't even. I hope it's not seen as bad behavior that I cannot help myself. I immediately do it. Is a sweet biscuit of nuts and fruit. Florentines are made of nuts, typically hazelnuts and almond, and candied cherries mixed with sugar, melted together with butter and honey, cooked in an oven. They're often coated on the bottom with chocolate, which is traditionally scored in a wave pattern with the tines of a fork to decorate. Other types of candy fruit are used as well.
So my photograph is of a Snicker, but apparently over there's peanut butter in their Snicker.
Oh, and you know what? For the longest time, and like only in recent is probably whatever. Used to be called a marathon bar over there.
Oh.
Yeah, so that maybe that's what's popping with that right there. Let me see if I can. I feel like I am loud, y'all. So let me see if I can tap myself down. Now that I can see. Well, hey, if I'm really loud,
You sound fine to me.
I'll fix it in post because I can. Because I figured out how to do it in Premiere, which is kind of a big deal. I can fix my shit on video. So, Mike is going for his dad's favorite caramel biscuits. These are orange shortbread biscuit base topped with a vanilla caramel, decorated with an orange milk chocolate layer. Then put a little bit of a little sugar work on top of with these edible flowers from his garden. And Jill was going for fruit and nut millionaire caramel biscuit, shortbread base topped with Brazil nuts and a raisin caramel, and Brazil nuts and raisin, and the caramel decorated with milk chocolate swirls. It was I made a millionaire shortbread at some point this year, and the caramel do be coming out thick, y'all. I'm sorry. Sorry, judges. Settle down.
I don't know what it is about the idea of caramel and citrus that I just don't find appetizing.
Oh, nah, I'm good on orange and chocolate, or orange and sweet as a part of sweets is a very English kind of vibe.
Yeah.
It ain't for me. So no bueno. Let's judge this. Mike's up top. Paul thinks they look good from the top, but he doesn't like the bulge on the sides. That joke comes back around, people.
Mm-hmm.
Caramel and chocolate both have a lovely orange flavor. Paul just thinks the shortbread needs to be thinner and crisper, and that would have set it off. Prue thinks, sure, it could be a little crisper, but it tastes really lovely. And just work on your bulge. And so, of course, they cut the mic, and he's like, they just told me to work on my bulge, and I'm just like, I'm glad you appreciate that, Mike. I did too. Christian's up next. Prue thinks they look really attractive and would find it impossible to not buy them. So the thin layer of praline takes the way they said this sounded like a positive, but these are the words used. Takes away from too much caramel. Is that good or bad?
Yeah, I was confused by that too, and I was like, okay, I think like on my third watch, finally, I was like, am I confused? Because it felt like not a compliment, but they presented it as a compliment.
Yeah. So again, that's where their English and our English is very different.
Yeah.
The waffles are really crisp. That's I actually absolutely love when Paul said that. That's a good eat. That's a good eat. That one is.
Mm-hmm.
That shit sound country as hell to me. That's a good eat.
Yeah, I love the way that they describe how things are in your mouth. I'm like, oh, Americans, we don't do this.
They are. The word texture exists, and then out of the blue, because of Food Network, people started saying mouthfeel, and I hate that turn of phrase because texture exists as a word and covered that ground, and so. I very much enjoy how Paul and Prue can describe something without using the term mouthfeel. Paul also enjoys the flavor of the praline with the caramel. Says they work together well. So that's what's up. Eileen, who was, as she was making these, was so frustrated and so troubled, comes through these gorgeous little pucks.
Gorgeous.
And I was just like, you wild girl. But who am I? You know what I'm saying? She was stressing and just was concerned, and I think she did a really good job. And in fact, the judges agree. Prue thinks they look absolutely exquisite. Paul cosigns. Prue enjoys the Florentini taste. Paul agrees again, saying that you do get the sensation of Florentines, which seems to impress him. Prue believes that it's a very original biscuit with fantastic flavors, calling them a little triumph. And like I said, that's after she fretted so much about her caramel, and it's just like, girl, you was good. It's gonna be good the whole time. Nelly, amazing looking, but the texture's a bit stodgy. But the walnut flavor is fantastic. So it's like it's good, it's bad, it's good. It's like,
and her sugar work was really great too.
I thought so. I thought in general, I think those would have been delicious. There's a couple of things Nelly done baked up these last couple of weeks. I'm like, Yeah, girl.
Mm-hmm.
I see you.
Bet she could cook too.
Andy, good finish on them. The flavor of the hazelnut comes through. The choice of chocolate is clever because it balances with the filling, which is full of texture. It's a good flavor, leaving prudes mouth-watering and wanting more. She got better than there. Dylan's, what I wrote is his fascination. The look, they look like a little. No, they say fascinating looks like a little canapé. And in my side note is, you can really read Dylan's desire to be a chef in his creations.
Mm-hmm.
They're a high-end restaurant coded, and this I feel is no exception.
Yeah, truly.
Back to what they said about it, crumbly and delicious. Paul loves the flavor. He thinks the citrus kick lightens the whole thing up, and it's quite moreish, meaning, you could eat more.
Mm-hmm.
The flavor and the texture are spot on. Paul just doesn't appreciate the look. And this is my own little bit. He just didn't appreciate the look of an American Tail 5 Goes West Bake, because y'all had to see the hat that Dylan was wearing.
He was giving 5 down the entire week. I was just like, 5. That's what I'm saying. He looks like a cat and a mouse at the same time.
Y'all had to see it, y'all. Jill, pretty, could have been half as thick. Again, they were, but of course, Jill immediately, northern portions, Paul, northern portions. Slight bitterness to the caramel that works well with the fruits and nuts. More of a billionaire shortbread than a millionaire's, which I thought was pretty dope. Little pat. Samaya, the caramel hasn't really set. Very elegant and exotic. And in my notes, I wrote, every time they say exotic, it feels like a slur.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like it.
Muslim flavors.
And I don't know. I think they honestly might mean exotic as in interesting and different, but it feels, I don't know, y'all.
Well, they're the original white people and they've colonized everywhere. So everything has a little bit of like twang on it.
Facts. The mango is light, but it's present, and the hibiscus comes through with a nice tartness. The flavors are amazing. The caramel just didn't work out. It's just too soft.
It's goopy, yeah.
Yeah. And I hate when they say, this worked fine at the crib. I just couldn't get it to work here. And I like, what is about that tent? It's kind of, you are outside. So the heat will not be the same as if, you got the doors closed at the house and so forth. So
yeah.
One has to, I don't know how you'd practice. Open all the windows.
I would suggest it.
Yeah, honestly. Try to get a recreation of the situation. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah. Georgie lost a few to the mold, and in my opinion, remember, I thought that they didn't ask for specific numbers. Them ones would have never made it out to be displayed.
Right.
But now I know that they said it doesn't got to be out there, and then I get it. What remains is precise and elegant. Prue is once again impressed by a peanut butter based bake, y'all, and I just think she needs to accept that maybe she likes peanut butter more.
Maybe you like peanut butter.
Butter. Paul thinks they are beautiful, delicate, and the chocolate balances with the peanut and nougat. Could have been a handshake except for the wonky ones.
Why he fake her out though?
Because Paul, Paul, in my opinion, constantly got that little boy playground flirting. You know what I'm saying?
The little negging.
Relax, baby.
Mm-hmm.
This is a woman that's married with children. None of that.
I'm sure Paul got a couple little situations.
Prue did say he's the old father or some old dad or something like that at some point. So I was like, you may not know, but
I get it.
Yeah, for sure. Paul, the Drake of the baking world.
You're hiding a child.
That was the signature this week. Nick, what's going on with the tech?
Technical challenge set by Prue. Her advice was that the challenge is all about timing and temperature. She's asking for a Pear Tatin with a caramelized walnut ice cream. They have 3 hours.
attack, y'all. Tatin is actually named after the Tatin sisters who invented it and served it in their hotel as its signature dish. It's a pastry in which the fruit, usually apples, in this case pears, is caramelized in butter and sugar before the tart is baked. It originated in France, but has spread to other countries over the years. A complaint they complained about, a couple people was just like, it is too dark. And do I have this picture of this tart up? I do. I'm about to show y'all a picture of a tarte tatin. And I think y'all will agree, everybody else's might not have been dark enough.
Once again, Georgie happened to look up this exact recipe the night before.
I can't knock her for it because I said, while on the show, it'd be constant study. So she just smartly played it.
I think everybody's doing it. She just happens to, oh yeah, this is pretty dark.
Thank you. I'm like, what are we doing here, people?
Yeah. It's just that she just happens to get it exactly right twice, which is crazy.
So for Caramel Week specifically, I would think she would be like, what caramel recipes could they hit us with in the tech
that are odd that you don't hear of? Yeah.
And so this is, I feel like it's one she could have easily just came across and like, that is something I might just have, put a little bit in my brain to consider. So can't knock her for it. In fact, very impressed for it. In fact, that's how champions are born, people. Saying so.
She learned it the last time she did that too. So
yeah. You know what it is. Like, there you go. They got to make a tarte tatin. I'm not really going to tell you much more about it. They did it. They either did it right or wrong. What they did provide for them, which I thought was dope, they gave them the cold butter they need because, ain't nobody trying to sit around and wait for the butter to get cold. So they like, look, we done gave you the butter you need. It's got to stay cold. If it don't stay cold, you will end up with more of a short crust than a laminated pastry, which is what a tarte tatin should come out as. So be hip, be ready, know the deal is, and we should be all right. So I do dig that they explain that. And I love Paul and Prue sitting there eating on the tarte tatin, and Prue like, could have used a glass of almond yak. Prue my little lusher. I love that in her. Right?
My favorite thing that has probably ever happened on this show happened this week with Allison and Nelly doing that goddamn dirty dancing.
Dirty dancing. And like, y'all both too tall to be playing around like this in this little tiny ass little kitchen. Y'all gonna bust y'all shit.
This tit is already cursed. People have been passing out. Stomach ain't right. Like, y'all play too much.
I talked about it last week again. Like I said, you have to miss, but I love, I don't know, whatever the black woman that Allison brings to this show. And like, I feel like they all need that sometimes, and there she is with it, and I fuck with it so hard. Like, thank you, lady, for coming through and giving folks sometimes just a pat, a hug, or whatever, a little giggle to make them calm their nerves. And just keep on baking. Like I said, Chief, I've watched this for a very long time now. I finally feel like they have just squared on that shit.
I agree.
These two is it. Absolute fire, and I love it.
Meanwhile, Noel knocking shit over. Break Nelly thing talking about, did you need that? She's like, yes, I did.
And I'm not saying like you know what though? Indeed, that caramel that he knocked down was way darker than the caramel she ended up with. So I think he could have cost her some points. So I mean, playing around my shit, she had to send his ass away. She loved her some Noel too. That's her little boo.
She sure did. Like, if I go home, your ass is taken
in a posh car.
That's right.
Oh my God, that was another thing that I found funny. Again, Nelly, because the constant don't sleep. We team Nelly over here.
Yeah,
but they said in the directions, prepare a crème anglaise. So with these posh words, we just make a custard. Make a custard. Like,
she just reminds me of like my aunties. I just love her. I do
love me some Nelly. She's great, y'all. I want her to go far because I don't want her to leave. So I just need her to go ahead and go far. So that way we got her. All right. Let's get on to judging. Jill's up first. The caramel has gone a bit dark, but the pears are nicely arranged. The pastry has no lamination, and the caramel is burnt. The ice cream is okay. Tastes lovely. Samaya, nice color. Lamination is obvious. Slightly underbaked, but lovely creamy ice cream. Andy, too dark, but a bit of lamination in the pastry, but it's burnt. And the caramel went too far in both the tart and the ice cream. Burnt the caramel twice. Andy, at some point during the show, was discussing how you gotta be able to hold on till caramel becomes caramel, because if you pull it too soon, you're not gonna get the flavor that is caramel. But if you pull it too late, you end up with burnt, and this is what he got. He got burnt this go around. For Nelly, they say it looks pale, but they like the way the pears have been cut. Nelly, again, had this been, I guess, had the caramel hit like it's supposed to, it would have been perfect. It was so pretty. She has a way of. She sliced these pears in a way that was very, very high end. I'm just saying, Nelly got some shit, y'all. So don't sleep on it. They like the way the pears have been cut and fanned out. It's good lamination, but no real taste of caramel because it wasn't cooked long enough. It's kind of the exact opposite of Andy. He cooked this too long. And of course, irony of ironies, the ice cream's caramel is great, making for a lovely ice cream. Because guess what? It didn't get knocked off the counter. I'm telling you right now, I'm not joking, man. That is definitely Noel's fault that her Tarte Tatin did not get the love it should have.
I would have said something too.
Like, that food right there knocked the shit over, right? Go look at the video. Go look how dark and pretty that caramel was. It was fire. They quite like the color initially, but then they worry that it's too much. And then they're like, well, it's got a bit of lamination. But then they're like, but the pastry is kind of leaning toward more like short crust, meaning her dough and her butter got too warm. And then they're like, it's not really great flavors. And it's like, they say all that right, but when we get the breakdown, that's not where she arrives at. So I can't call it. Dylan looks doughy, needed longer in the oven. The caramel needed to be darker. The pastry needed another 5 minutes in the oven, but overall pleasant. Christian, nice color. Pastry looks nice, crisp. It's been put to bed properly. I don't even know what that means. But I was like, okay, Paul, word up. Both flavors are nice, and it's good ice cream. Georgie looks nice, lovely flavor. The ice cream's nice and creamy. Quite a success. And Mike looks a bit pale. Doughy middle, underbaked. Flavor of the caramel is nice, but the tart is underbaked. But they do like his ice cream. So let's rank it. Now, just take what I said to you, listener. Taking just what I'm giving you, you know who should be at the bottom. You think you know who should be at the bottom. But like I said, I'm about to rattle these off. You're going to be like, how the hell did that happen? Because it's weird to me. Like I said, they really were judgy on my girl Leanne, but still. In ninth is Andy. Both the caramels went too far, so they were bitter and overbaked. Jill.
So the only thing I will note here is they're only seemingly judging the caramel.
Yeah, I guess so. Jim, too bitter, far too bitter, and too thin. The caramel being too thin. I didn't even think about that until just now. Okay. Mike is underbaked. Just cut it short right there. Nelly's in sixth, Dylan's in fifth, Illian's in fourth. Did that sound like I read to you a person in fourth? It sounded like they would have put her in the bottom of the table. Mm-hmm. She did not. Third is Samaya. Really nice, really nicely arranged. Looks so appetizing. Did they spell with an S? Christian, caramel balance perfect with the ice cream and a pretty good Tarte Tatin. And George just came in first. They ain't say nothing about her. There you go. You the best. And left it at that.
You the best.
I was like, so no, nothing we're gonna discuss why hers is so good.
Throw that edit off.
Yeah. It was like, there you go. Holla. So that was this week's technical, a Tarte Tatin, a Pear Tarte Tatin. And hey. What is the showstopper this go around, Nick?
The showstopper is a caramel mousse cake. Must be complete with spectacular sugar work. Decoration must have at least 2 caramel components. They have 4.5 hours.
you possibly showstop this week?
On the whole, no.
Yeah.
But there were maybe 3 that I was like, oh, these are wonderful. And I don't think it's the fault of the bakers. I think the challenge itself didn't really lend itself to something that they would put on the table and I would be like, wow.
Exactly. The judges themselves were also like, the showstopper was just kind of, and I was like, agreed. It was just
Because they said, oh, it's small, like 9 times. Well, I mean, y'all did ask for a tiny ass cake.
Like, guess what? It's a challenge to make a mousse cake large. It's not how mousse functions.
Right.
Weirdos. Let's go through what these bakers are trying to whip up this week. George is going for a glass rose mirror mousse cake. It's going to be a sponge base topped with a hazelnut praline, which itself will be topped with a hazelnut fiatine. Nope. Oh, don't worry. I got you on that one. And then all of that's going to be surrounded with a salted caramel mousse covered in a white chocolate red mirror glaze, then topped with this isomalt rose. Y'all.
Feuilletine.
Fiatine. Fiatine. And of course, like the English be butchering French words intentionally. That's my old school hate. So that's not even how they say it. But fiatine is how you pronounce that word. In case you didn't know, fiatine is crispy confection made from thin, sweetened crepes. The crepe batter is baked for a few minutes, and then the crepes are allowed to cool. As they cool, they become crisp. In French, these crispy crepes are called crêpes gavoles or crêpes dentelles. Probably that's how you pronounce those. But when crumbled up, they basically crumble them into little shards. That's when they become feuilletines. And he's up next. He's going for a lonely tree mousse cake. It's an almond dacquois topped with a chocolate cake, which itself is topped with a banana caramel, which then is topped with a caramel mousse ring. This is all in a ring shape, which is surrounding this isomalt tree, which has this candy floss, aka cotton candy, as the tree's foliage, which I think is a fire ideal.
Yes.
The dacquois in this case, in Andy's bake, is a nut meringue where you basically whip up egg whites, sugar, and lemon juice, and then fold in powdered almonds. There's also a dacquois that is a cake that has a part of that in it. So just heads up. I said, well, if you're wondering what the dacquois we're talking about here was. They told me he was basically making a banoffee situation, and he's like, oh, wow, I didn't even know that. And then, of course, you go to Samaya, who is intentionally making a banoffee pecan mousse cake. Did you try banoffee over there? Are you a banana person at all? I don't get down with
that. I will eat a banana. I will eat banana pudding, but it can't have bananas in it. Like, I don't like things made with bananas.
Because bananas are disgusting. And they make my tummy hurt. So I think I'm actually allergic to bananas because bananas make my tummy hurt. Plantains make my tongue itch. So I think that's a section of the plant kingdom just ain't agreeing with your boy.
Mm-hmm.
This is going to be a caramelized banana sponge cake, caramelized date molasses mousse with a banana pecan fudge and a Greek yogurt mousse somewhere else in that bad boy, decorated with a green mirror glaze and this colored isomalt meant to invoke the work of glass artist Dale Chihuly. Don't think I didn't pull up some of Mr. Chihuly's work for y'all to be seeing. Man, I really got the screen share popping tonight.
Okay.
But I thought this would be dope because he really makes interesting things. These are his chandeliers.
That's gorgeous.
Yeah, I think his work is really, really fetching. He also does some other glass work. Let me see if I can show you. But look at these things.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's absolutely stunning.
Yeah. So I immediately got what she was going for and appreciated that all the more. Sorry, I had to pull my notes back up. We'll talk about when we get to judging. Jill's going for a sticky toffee pudding. She has a sticky toffee pudding recipe that she thinks bangs, and she was like, "Here, I can tweak it for this situation." And so it has a spiced date sponge. It's a vanilla custard. It's a toffee sauce with decorative praline honeycomb shards on the top of it, and the entire thing's gonna be decorated with this caramel drip kind of situation. It's really, I think it's really a really nice looking cake. I don't think it's show stopping, but it looks great, and I definitely would enjoy it. Something you can definitely pick up at a local bakery, I think. Nelly, behind every great woman, Nelly love her man.
Okay.
And her fan, like, this is not the first time she done said something good about him. And she like, my husband thinks highly of me, and I don't think highly of myself, but he does, and I think that's so special. So word to Nellie's husband and to her. She dedicated to her husband, who she explains when Allison asked her that they met at a kebab shop. And I'm like, that's dope. That's how rare people meet in real life anymore. Her cake is a toffee chocolate sponge with a white chocolate mousse and a pecan caramel mousse sandwiched in between the layers. It's covered in this caramel mirror glaze. Mike is going for coffee popcorn mousse cake based on his favorite drink he gets at a theater, which is a coffee popcorn espresso martini or something of some sort, I believe is what he said or explained. It's a coffee chiffon sponge layers filled with a coffee caramel mousse layers topped with popcorn caramel spikes that are stuck in this mascarpone cheese that he piped on top of it. It's a little bit of the sugar work wisp sitting on top of that. It's a lot going on there. And I can tell you that. Maybe a bit too much. So, again, caramel and white chocolate mousse cake. It's a vanilla sponge, a caramel mousse, a pistachio ganache, more feuilletines with a caramel insert topped with an isomalt tiara and these gold pistachio jewels. And it's here that I realize I should probably explain to y'all what the hell isomalt is, because I've mentioned it multiple times here. Mm-hmm. Isomalt is a sugar substitute of the two disaccharide alcohols, 1.6 GPS and 1.1 GPM. It's used primarily for its sugar-like physical properties. Also, apparently, it doesn't raise your blood sugar, but it's more that it works like sugar, and therefore you can not cook your fingers when you're trying to make glass look
things. Yeah.
Dylan is going for a lemon, honey, and ginger mousse cake. He talks about how he really enjoyed Amalfi lemon, so he got some Amalfi lemons to whip up a lemon gel that's going to be inside of an isomalt lemon, liquid honey caramel mousse, and a ginger-soaked almond sponge, aiming for a honey, lemon, ginger kind of flavor profile. Dylan says he wants the flavor to be zippy, to which Paul responds, instead of bungle, to which Dylan responds, I don't get that joke. And he wouldn't, because Zippy and Bungle were characters on a British television program, Rainbow, that ran from 1972 to 1992.
Oh, yeah.
Me get into the good dozen years before Dylan was born. But worry not. For you, the watcher, you'll hear it. But people watching it, I got something for you.
1, 2, 3, 4. Hello, everyone.
Are you ready?
I better find someone to dance with me. 3 fat sausages sitting on the wall.
Zippy's going to be very busy, isn't he?
My bottom's a bit sore after riding all this way.
Come on, everybody.
Funky. I feel sticky all over.
That's just asking for trouble.
Bye-bye.
Goodbye.
Basically, I think that means you can watch old episodes of that on wherever I pulled that from.
Cocaine is a hell of a drug.
Man, like I said, from the that bad boy went from 1972 to 1992. So that bad boy had a ride.
Guzzling glizzy.
It's a wild time, but apparently that's available somewhere for you guys to watch, or people who might want to go back and watch the old school stuff. I might have to tweak that. We'll tweak that in the edit, and we'll see how that comes out for you in the But that is where Bungle comes from when he says Zippy, not Bungle. Bungle was a big old bear character. So for those listening who didn't know, you should just be watching what we do here, because I think we make an entertaining. But that particular one you kind of needed to see.
Yeah,
had a lot going on. a lot going on in that video.
Man. The character's name is Zippy. His mouth was literally a zipper.
Yeah. Which is, I don't know. Anyway, back to Christian is going for a Tropicarmo, one word, mousse cake. It's a shortbread base with a lime genoise sponge, with a coconut mousse and a caramel mousse, topped with an isomalt wave crashing over this beachy scene he's made.
Here they go with the citrus and the caramel again.
I can't. I mean, hey. Apparently they vibe with it. So
yeah, but Prue got a problem with peanut butter.
Oh, South African, old apartheid situation. Apparently, and Dylan was talking to Noel about this. He goes, "Yo, man, she scares me because she's the only Michelin starred chef I have ever had the pleasure of meeting." And I'm like, yeah, I might come with some Dame Prue facts next week because I didn't know about that. So.
I didn't know that either. Yeah.
I don't know if she's a chef or just or just a restaurateur, but yeah, Dame Prue got the chops, y'all. So let's judge this. Nellie's up top, very elegant. It was very professional,
beautiful. It was gorgeous.
Like, I'm not saying it's the best of the bunch, but it's definitely up there.
For me too.
Yeah. Looks just as nice outside. When they cut it, they prove like it looks just as nice inside as it does outside. Absolutely delicious. The flavor is satisfying and lovely. Comes across more like coffee than toffee. So as sharp as ever. Nellie's like, hey, baby, if it's coffee to you, it's coffee to me. And I'm like, that's what's up, girl. Paul thinks the white chocolate mousse is delicious. Just well done. And in fact, later on, they say Nellie just saved herself with this one. It's not that Nellie was concerned, but she didn't have a great week up until then. And then she came through and just crushed. So I love it. Christian looks great. They love the wave. But at the bottom, that's a real thick layer of caramel. Prue likes the sharpness of the lime jelly. Paul thinks it has a hell of a kick that works beautifully. The lime jelly is just wonderful, and the caramel mousse is perfect. There you go. Samaya. An isomalt explosion is how they describe it, because it really does look kind of like that the guy the artist she was inspired by is working. Yeah. But the mirror glaze is rubbery from far too much gelatin.
Oh, it was so goopy.
Gross.
Yeah.
Disappointing because the textures are all wrong. The date molasses mix too soft and gloopy. Literally the word gloopy. The cake is stodgy. More mousse would have added a lightness to balance out the rest. The layer should have been thinner and been more of a celebration of the mousse. This is a mousse cake. It was at this
point where I was going through her performance this week. Did they like her signature? I couldn't remember.
They appreciated the flavors of her signature and thought it is exotic, but they did not. But the caramel didn't work, and this is caramel week.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. So. And then in the technical challenge, which doesn't count until it does.
Yeah. She came in third. Yeah. So that I think is what I mean, especially when the other dude came in almost last. So yeah. Ilian looks nice. Not a fan of the tiara. Prue would have liked a bigger sponge layer. The pistachio just sort of sits there, and this is where I note that's twice now something she has made with pistachio has not worked. Mm-hmm. She just got to leave that shit out going for it.
Mm-hmm.
Everything else works together, and her mousse is, of course, hitting. Just could have been neater. And what it was is she, again, was having an issue with making caramel. And so time, as always, that devil kind of got away from her. So it's her results. Andy. Y'all.
Bruh.
Paul sees it and just giggles. And Prue's like, go ahead and say it. And he's like, it's wonderful.
Yeah, it like there was a part of it in the front. This was also the same with Samaya's. That was a little bit messy, and I feel like they would have clocked anybody else for that. Yeah. But otherwise, it was crazy.
Yeah. The design is fantastic. Looks lovely light mousse. Could have left the dacquois out as it's gone soggy, but the mousse is perfectly set. The banana levels are perfect. Paul thinks the apple on the candy floss comes through nice. Prue immediately is like, that is a disgusting flavor. She does not like the artificial candy flavor that is the apple cotton candy. But Hey, Paul dug it,
Right.
but it's about 30 years between him and age, so we can, Paul a little younger in that regard.
Yeah, they both have been saying that things are too sweet, and I'm like, maybe y'all need like a younger judge because we can't be having a dessert show judged by people who are like super sensitive to sweetness.
Okay, Jill, certainly a caramel cake. Prue appreciates the color. The flavor is that of a sticky toffee pudding. The mousse is a little thick, but great flavor. Too sweet to Prue, but the spice lifts it. All said and done, they liked it. So there you go with that one. Mike, it's a great festive cake. Looks like a Christmas cake. Man, Prue does not like it.
Garbage.
She says if she went to went to a shop and asked for a mousse cake, and this is what she got, she'd be questioning whether. Basically, Prue went off was like, "Look, if I go to a shop and ask for a mousse cake, and I get this, I'm gonna be wondering where the damn mousse is at." And they had talked about. They was talking about earlier in the episode how Prue got a little bit like Prue is will say something mean to you in a nice way.
Mm-hmm.
And so, like I said, Dylan was already like, "Man, Prue don't want to worry me." And then Noah was talking to Iliane about Prue was like, "Yeah, she'll cut you real quick, and you cut you deep, and you won't even realize it until later." Like, yeah, that's basically what she did right here, y'all.
She was like, I said a mousse cake. I don't want this old deconstructed or whatever this is. No.
She said a mousse cake needs to be at least half mousse.
Mm-hmm.
This was not it. Needs a finish on the outside because basically it was like if you imagine a naked cake, it's like you just the cake and then layers betwixt. What a lovely tiramisu cake it is.
I got jokes.
It does not meet the brief in that regard. So he's like super excited. He's like, look, at least try my little popcorn caramel, man. I'm really proud. It's only one of the best things I ever made. Paul Bice is like, nah, bro, it's too sweet. And then Prue's like, the whole thing too sweet. She was mad about this, y'all. And she's like, had my mouth all ready for hash. And then this is what they brought. So she was unhappy with the results. Georgie looks professional and eye-catching, but it's a bit small. They wanted something impressive that would work at a gathering. Basically wanted a party size situation, and that's not what was brought. This is more a family size. Good Lord. The 14s have stayed crisp, and the cake is lovely. The flavors are there, but the feuilletine layer is making more of an impact than intended because the cake is so small. It's a good idea. They were like, I'd love to see the second version of it. And she was like, I'm never making this shit again. I've yet to see people walk away from Caramel Week like, I can do that.
Yeah.
They all like, I'll never touch caramel again as long as I live. So I can't blame them. Dylan, unfortunately, this bad boy developed a crack. Had it stayed perfect, it would have been something. Yeah. But quite pretty, quite small, but amazingly packed with flavor. Punched in the mouth with flavor. Crowned the flavor king of the moment. Is what ends up happening here. They say he's very clever with his flavors.
Mm-hmm. Flavor king.
Delicate in his baking game. Well done. That's it. Basically, they come to him like, yo, you did it all right. And they knew he did it all right. And so it's like, I don't know. He did it all right. How did he? I guess he did poorly in the technical. No, right in the middle. Square in the middle.
Yeah.
And what did they think about his... he didn't like the way it looked. He liked the flavor of it and everything about it, but he didn't like the way it looked. I don't know. Just saying. But your star breaker this week is, of course, Miss Georgie.
Earned, I would say.
Fair enough. I will allow for it. Because she really did come through with the candy bars. Almost got a handshake. Wouldn't have gotten a handshake had the ones that broke in the mold not been perfect. So if you're already starting up there, then yeah, you're right. And of course, first in tech, and then a pretty great showstopper. You're absolutely
just
correct.
Small, yeah, but it was very pretty.
Sent home is Mike, and probably should have been, but I could easily argue for Samaya.
Could have gone to. I think that Mike has just not been as good in the competition as Samaya, so they're going to give her one more week.
Yeah. So hopefully she'll get it dialed in. I hate how upset they get Because it is upsetting because all of a sudden you've made new friends and
Yeah.
kind of get a familiar bond. And like I said, every class of these bakers is really super tight for usually the rest of the day going on. Like they always kicking it regularly afterwards. We still keep watch over bakers we've been doing since we started this show. So
Right.
it's just-
They're a tight little cohort.
Yeah.
I think that like Jill is due to make a run. If she doesn't make a run, she probably will go next week.
Yeah.
I also could see Eileen making a little run too.
Next week is pastry week, which is basically bread week, the sequel, with more butter, and so
right,
folk can show up and folk can show out. So we will see how that all plays out next week. But there you go, people. That is this week's Crème Patisserie. Isn't it lovely? I really dig it. If you're so inclined, you can reach us at podcast@stagecrunchyandmilk.com. You can also give us a phone call, but I forgot what my phone number is because I don't get to say that much on this show. It's 216-264-6311. That's 216-264-6311. We'd certainly love to hear from you, and hear from you we have. Yes. You know it's the homie Frank.
Yes.
2 times to made him chunky. First one. GBO episode 3 podcast and episode 4. Hey all. It's a long note. Ha ha ha. I sat for the live feed since I really wanted to hear your responses about Dylan's win. I know the fandom was divided, especially because of the placement of the technical. But as you all have stated, the technical matters, except when it doesn't. Speaking of technical, I found it telling how stressful the competition can be when so many of the bakers made the same mistake with the strands. Dylan and John were mostly guilty of it. People's strands were way shorter than Paul had when he was started braiding. The strands looked at least a foot and a half long. Correct. Anyway, it was such a nice surprise to have both Brad and Mackenzie on this week's episode. Krème really is the best bake-off podcast. Thank you so much. I've already stated in the past why, but this was a perfect reason why. I also have to agree with your comment on how far Simu Lee has come. In the past, he was not always been the most self-aware and PR-savvy guy when it comes to posting on social media. It's gotten him into hot water in the past. But back on topic. After watching Caramel Week, it finally clicked in my head why this season of GBO has likely the best set of contestants in the history of the show. In another season, Mike would have been a serious contender for the finals and not someone eliminated in episode 4. The same can be said for John. Would have went out bread week and the other remaining contestants. It's odd to rank Mike as middle of the road when you think about the illusion cake, but then you have this really deep talent pool. Exactly. I think it comes down to a couple of things. Of course, most of the season 15 contestants are excellent bakers, but what I notice is that there is a higher than normal percentage of contestants who are ambitious and risk takers. Dylan, Samaya, Christian, Nelly, Georgie, Mike, Andy are just constantly taking big swings, and the results are more positive than negative. Probably the only one of the top 10 who isn't a risk taker is Jill, but she compensates by being such a good technician. Man, there you go, boy. Say that. The other aspect in their presentation skills. How many times have Paul and Prue already referred to a bake as professional looking or looking ready to be sold in the shop? Samaya is still the best in that regard. She's this season's Kim Joy, but the artistic and construction skills of the group as a whole are a standout. So many of them are more polished, refined, and creative than the average contestant. Dylan may have pulled in the lead to get to the finals, but if Samaya can regain her footing, she's going to be nipping at his heels. And if the others can stay consistent, it will be a real nail biter to see who gets the cake platter. All my best, Frank. But Frank. Very good. Solid email. But he also hit a second time and said, I hope you have seen the adjoining extra slice episode. It's damn funny with a guest appearance by Prue, worth describing even secondhand. I did not. I had literally, if I would share my screen right now, you'd see that it is right there. Like the extra slice episode is literally right here on my screen. To be watched. I just didn't get to it because trust me, I have to watch the episodes we watch multiple times and then like to add something else. But I would definitely give it a check. And if it's worth the conversation, we'll talk about it next week. No worries. I sent the extra slice to
To Mackenzie and Brad.
Mackenzie and Brad. So I'm like, yeah, well, you got it if you want to watch it, because it's the same site we have forever. It's still there, it still exists, still works. So trust me, if you need it, I got you. But like I said, next week is Pastry Week. What will be involved there? We'll see. Actually, Pastry Week is technically literally right here. It's on the on that same screen I just told you has what you call it. Guess what? I can watch the Pastry Week episode right now.
Oh yeah,
it's like
it's Tuesday, isn't it?
Isn't it? And of course, we're 5 hours behind them. So it is tomorrow there already. So that's what's popping over there. Question of the week.
Yes, I'm ready with both.
Oh,
you can choose each one however you want to choose them, but one question would be caramel or caramel.
Oh, bro, that's your poll. Easy as that.
And then the other one is about Dylan. Do you see it or don't you?
How you?
Hot or not?
All right.
Do we get the internet frenzy or not?
There you guys. Y'all can never say that we don't do it live, because I'm telling you right now that all occurs in real time. And I'm glad I'm glad you had that prepared, because I
had at least one ready to go. I was like, caramel, praline. What are we doing with this?
I say praline, and then all of a sudden I'll read it and I'm like, praline, because looking at it. But did you get your pralines while you was down south?
I did not. I was trying to be a little bit good about the sugar because I was indulging in the entire pig. So no, I had a tiny little piece of praline candy.
From the rooter to the tutor, all the pork.
I was like, I'm gonna eat a whole pig when I'm down here. And that I did.
Well, I assume it was tasty. Was a po' boy involved? What was it? What'd you eat?
I don't do a po' boy. So there was a ton of boudin involved because I was in South Louisiana, and I mean, it's like the only place in the world where you can get it really good. I had a bunch of like sausage, some gumbo, some ribs. What else did I have? There's a place that does these charbroiled oysters in New Orleans proper. Amazing. I mean, any part of the pig I was put in front of me, I ate that shit. And that'll be it for the year.
Yeah, but like I've had enough, and my bloodstream has probably had its fill as well. Yeah. So.
I'm done.
Well, people, that, of course, is Krème Patisserie. It's a great British Bake-Off podcast. I'm quite proud of it. We do well. Also, if you made it this far, this is going to be strange to you, but anybody else, I figured out that I have to basically put the word video before to separate the episode from the audio version. The audio version also goes up, and it's also the same art. And people seem to be confused by this. And so I was like, let me tweak that. I'll just throw the word video in front of this when I start posting the audio of this, I'll do the same on the Spotify feed. And that should help guide your process, because of course, when I did that, of course, the video episode immediately started getting numbers. I'm like, there it is. You just need to know what's what so you don't get confused. Mm-hmm. And so therefore, if you watch this long, hey, thank you, but don't worry, I got you. I figured it out. Going forward, that'll be addressed, and hopefully that'll lead to a less confusion. Of course, you can have the audio version. The reason it's on YouTube is because that's how YouTube does their podcast now. It goes to YouTube Music. Oh. And so, because they got rid of their podcast app, Google got rid of their podcast app. So now there's like, if you want to be on YouTube podcast, blah, 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 you got to just upload it. So it uploads directly. And so there's an audio version of it that is simply just that. It's the audio version and the show art. And if you use YouTube Music, and I know some people who do, so no, I'm not knocking you. You can, of course, listen to it there. But also, if you watch YouTube, you can watch us do this.
Interesting.
There it is. Nick, you anything before we slide out?
No, I really was like the whole time I was away, I was like, I have to try like a pastry to talk about on Creme Pat. But the whole time I was like, no, just eat the pork. I don't want
the pork. It works out.
Yeah, I don't want to combat the high cholesterol and the high A1C. Like, we just fight one battle. I mean, I did have like daiquiris like every night. So
very specific.
well, not so in New Orleans, a daiquiri is just a frozen drink with alcohol. It is not necessarily a proper daiquiri, like a hurricane, a hand grenade, whatever. You go down to the daiquiri shop and get that.
I was talking
the drive-through.
I was talking to homie Joe the other day. He was talking about klatschkis, which is different down south than they are up here by a lot. Because down there it's basically like little meatballs, little, if you will, like bao buns almost. Whereas up here, they're these little cookies probably about big as your thumb, with a little jam on them, a little powdered sugar. But same name, same spelling, everything. So
yeah, I've never heard of either.
Yeah. So the South be on some different things sometimes, y'all. This is what it comes down to.
Yeah. And there were these little like handmade pies that I super love, but I was like, no, I'm lowering my A1C naturally. I don't want no semaglutide.
Hey, not knocking it. You take care of yourself, and that is okay.
Most definitely.
Our missing man is, of course, the 216 zone, Tatum 216. Send him some love. He needs it. That's because I said so. And of course, that's Nick June. I'm Tayrell. We'll do it again next time. Bake with us again. Peace.
What happened to your ass? It used to be beautiful.